I have a bunker in my basement. Check this out. But there are a couple things that you can do to get the attention of the YouTube algorithm. As much as it went viral, I had millions of views, I decided to take that content down. Yeah, we don't necessarily need it to be longer. I'm just wondering what can we add to it to like pique their curiosity. The last 2 weeks have been incredible. In fact, my team filmed 200 episodes for 9 different YouTube channels. My family and I stayed for a week at a beach house, and I even took some time to answer some of your questions. I'm not at the beach very often, but when I am here, I love getting up early in the morning, just after sunrise, going for a nice run on the beach. Holding the camera though, it looks a bit bumpy. All right, let's go. I went on some adventures here in Utah, and in the 2 days that I worked, I was able to provide some client coaching and do a lot of fun things around the studio house that I'm excited to share with you. This thing is like massive, but you can probably hear I've got a really big problem. I've got ideas of things I could film in here, but I've got to fix this echo. So one idea that I have is I've got these rugs. I've got 4 of the large ones that I'm gonna lay out on the floor and see what that does. And then I've got these runners that I'm going to put on the shelves here that will make it soft to put gear on. Because most of my strategy is based around search and putting out so much content that we then get a suggested spike, it takes a long time. And a lot of people ask, well, what can I do to promote my channel? We don't do a lot of promotion. We don't do any paid promotion, but there are a couple things that you can do to kind of boost or get the attention of the YouTube algorithm or get the attention of the YouTube search engine. So one of those things is to utilize your email list. All right, you can send out an email and notify them that you've uploaded a video, but you've got to be a little bit more crafty than that. When people open up an email, they're expecting to have an email experience. They're expecting to read something. So if you quickly jump in and just say, hey, click here to go watch my video on YouTube, you're telling them to leave their email and go to YouTube, which is not what they're planning on doing. So you need to write a few paragraphs, right? Write about that topic of the episode so that they can have a good email experience. After they've read the email, then you can say something, hey, if you'd like to discuss this topic further, check me out on YouTube. Here's the link. And they can then go and find your video on YouTube. Now, we don't need a whole lot of views. But imagine if you send out an email and you got 10 people to go watch your video. That's data for the algorithm can tell them what the audience for this video is like so that YouTube can get to work and find more people that don't know you yet, but would be your perfect audience. Now, if you're putting out daily content like I recommend, you don't want to send out daily emails like this, especially if your email list isn't used to that frequent of content. But what you can do is you can segment your list. So if you've got 1,000 people or 10,000 people, right? You can break your list into 5 or to 10 different segments and send an email to one segment about one episode and another segment, one email about another episode. Or at the end of the week, you can look back and say, okay, which of these is my favorite video or which of these is my best performing so far? And you can take that one and choose to send that one to your email list to give that a boost. I don't recommend using any social media with one exception. If you're a part of some Facebook groups where pasting links is kosher, then sometimes Facebook groups can be a good way to drive traffic to your videos. Or if you don't really care about your Facebook page or your Facebook post, you don't spend a lot of time there, then you can post something there and you will get traffic to YouTube. Just know that Facebook will really start to bury your stuff after that. I've had some strange looks from people. I'm on my way down. I've got a paddleboard on my back, and there's nowhere to use a paddleboard here. I hiked up to Timpanogos Cave as a practice hike. I wanted to see if I could do a good hike with a big weight on my back. My goal is to hike up to Silver Lake that I've gone to a couple times now this summer. I want to take my paddleboard up there. I wanted to see if I would be able to do it. Well, we'll see how sore I am tomorrow, but so far I feel great. I feel like this has been a good success. I was huffing and puffing on the way up, but I'm excited. All right, so let's see if this worked. All right, I have high hopes. Actually, I don't, because it still seems pretty echoey. So we got the rugs on the floor. I think it's better, but maybe I'm just hoping it's better. I do think it's better. Let's compare it side by side. This thing is like massive, but you can probably hear I've got a really big problem. Hoping it's better. I do think it's better. Let's compare it side by side. Okay, so I really like how these runners turned out. It ended up being the perfect length. I didn't know that that was going to happen. My plan is to put camera gear and batteries and lights and have them charge in here, so they're kind of out of the way, and I've got more over here, so I got a couple other runners that I'll put over here. Anyway, that's my plan so far. What would you say is like the main selling point of why somebody should watch this video? What's the real benefit that they'll get?
They are going to be a more effective mentor to children.
Okay, maybe just add in a few words. So by understanding what a mentor can do, then by the end of this video, you'll be able to be a better mentor. Like you'll be able to be a better mentor and have more impact
in the kids you're so invested in.
Let's try that.
Hey, today we're talking about what does a mentor do for a child? Now, if you're watching this video, you're probably invested in a very special child or maybe a group of children at large. And today you're gonna come away having the tools to be a more effective mentor in those children's lives. Let's get started.
Nice.
Okay.
All right, I've got a story for you, and this is pretty cool, and it came as a surprise. In fact, let me take the camera off of my tripod here. Just wanna tell you this amazing story. So, as you know, over the years, I've had my Nate Woodbury channel, my main channel, but I've had two audiences. I've had some topics that really took off on why I hire people in the Philippines, and admittedly, it was quite a different audience from the main audience here in the United States, the entrepreneur, business owner audience. And it's been a real dilemma. Well, earlier this year, I decided I'm gonna take all my Philippine content down off of my channel. As much as it went viral, I had millions of views, I decided to take that content down because it was hurting all my other content. The audience for that content, the people in the Philippines didn't like that content. Anyway, so I took it down. Then just a couple months ago, I decided to launch all that Philippines content on a new channel. So you can search for it, it's Nate Woodbury Philippines. So that's the name of the second channel, Nate Woodbury Philippines. I just started launching 2 episodes a week of all this previous content that I launched over the years. It probably amounts to about 40 different episodes or maybe even more. Well, after 2 months, the channel just took off. I had a day where I had over 200,000 views, and in just a little over 2 months now, I'm up to 9,000 subscribers. I'm already monetized on the channel with ad revenue. I think I've made $400 or $500 in the last month, but it just kind of came as a surprise. So what that really tells me, what I learned from it, is the importance of audience and making content that really fits that audience. I had 2 conflicting audiences on my main channel, but I took all the content for one audience and I put it on its own channel, and man, it's totally working. Okay, so tell me what you've got for curiosity hooks.
So on this one, I have the shortest amount that I have. Most of them I have more, but this one I just said what a mentor is and 2 specific attributes that make a great mentor.
Yeah, we don't necessarily need it to be longer. I'm just wondering what can we add to it to like pique their curiosity, because they will want to know there's 2 specific attributes that maybe you could just flower it up a bit. Like, so we are going to start out defining what a mentor is, because that's a good place to start. Then we're going to talk about 2 specific attributes that you must have as a mentor in order to be effective.
Okay.
That makes sense? So just kind of flower it up, because then they're like, ooh, I really want to know what these 2 attributes are. Sound good?
Yep. So today we're going to be talking about what a mentor is and 2 very specific attributes that you have got to have to be an incredible mentor to children.
Cool.
So,
You're going to do great.
thank you. I'm excited.
So what about somebody who's just getting started on YouTube? What do you do? What do you do to get started? Well, the easiest thing to do is answer questions. I talk a lot about that further on my channel. You can look back when I made a lot of tutorial videos on the channel. So I recommend going back and watching those. The huge advantage is this really positions you as an expert, right? Your videos start to generate leads. So you start to generate money even when you're only getting a handful of views. So just pull out your phone and talk on selfie mode and answer questions and put those videos on YouTube. That is the perfect place to start. My clients love these. Okay, so the main reason I came to Costco was to get some more rugs for the bunker room, right? To get rid of the echo. But check this out, the price is nearly triple what it was last time. So I think I'm gonna have to use another idea. Look what I found at Lowe's for 20 bucks. Perfect. So I couldn't get any more rugs, so my next idea was to get some of these moving blankets and hang them up. They're just hanging on C-stands. I've got 3 of them right now. I've got one more idea. This one should work, I hope. Today I produce over 23 YouTube channels. We put out hundreds and hundreds of episodes every single month. But if you rewind about 11 years ago, I got started on YouTube. That's back when I had a web design service, and I would cold call businesses, and I'd talk to them on the phone, and I would give them my sales pitch. Cold calling is really hard, and I very quickly came up with a strategy where I recorded my sales pitch in a video, I put that video on YouTube, and then when I would call people, I'd say, hey, I'm Nate, I've got a brand new website service, can I send you something in the email? And they'd say yes, so then I'd email them the YouTube link. So that was my first start on YouTube, and I have to say it worked. If you're just getting started in business, I'd recommend that. Cold calling is brutal, but it's a great place to start. You've got to kind of develop that sales muscle, but this is a way that takes off some of that pressure, because you can put your sales presentation where you're talking about all the benefits of what you're selling in the video, and then when you call them, the pressure is off because you're not trying to sell them anything. You're just saying, hey, this is what I do, but can I send you a video where you can see what it's all about? So I recommend trying that out. All right, I don't think this is gonna stand up. So I'll show you what I've got here. It's a V-flat with sound foam. Now, if I'm in here, that sounds a little bit better. Yeah, these ceilings aren't 8 feet. This is probably gonna make it bend a bit. Okay, so if I'm facing it, man, there's still an echo. If I'm facing away from it, how does that sound? And how does it sound as I walk back to the camera talking? The echo seems to be getting higher. Well, I'll keep working on the sound. Wait till you see what I'm gonna do in here next week.